Welcome to Unity Global Heart Ministry. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Reverend Karen Epps. I am blessed to serve in this online spiritual community. Thank you for joining us today. We are in the fourth of a series on the path of the initiate into mystical union, the journey that took us from Maundy, Thursday to this morning, Easter Sunday. It is a path that was shown to us by the way shower Jesus, with the understanding that if we took the same steps that he took, we would again realize what he realized, which is the mystical union with the beloved, the divine. We began on Maundy, Thursday, with the idea of dedicating some aspect of yourself, some aspect of your life as sacred service to the beloved, as sacred service and an act of devotion in God. Coming into Good Friday as the purification, the crucifixion of burning away all that no longer serves that divine purpose. Then Holy Saturday, going into the tomb experience, into the deep silence of the divine darkness, to then allow all of the attachments to complete their dissolve and open the heart. Open your heart, open your mind for the possibilities that lay ahead in the resurrection that is the transformed consciousness and the new way of being. And that brings us to today, Easter Sunday, the day of resurrection, the day where suffering ceases, for we are no longer held captive by whatever those old ideas may have been that were holding us back from living in our full divinity. I want to pick the story up again, continuing in the Gospel of John as I've been working with it for this series of talks, and coming to the 20th chapter. And it tells us that early in the morning on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb. So I want to ask you, how many times do you go back to the tomb looking for what you left there? Because guess what? It is not in the tomb. Jesus said to them, if you were to come, you will not find me there. Let's hold that point in awareness that from this moment forward, it is not our job to go back to the tomb looking for whatever it is that we left there. Because we are invited in the Easter resurrection experience to stand in the fullness of our divinity, to stand in the fullness of our Christ light, and let that shine. You see, this movement in consciousness, this raising of consciousness that we have been exploring over the course of Holy Week, of Maundy, Thursday, Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and then today, Easter Sunday, is about taking us from being in that undifferentiated state that we experienced early in consciousness, where we knew ourselves as oneness, but didn't know ourselves in that oneness, to the states of separation that we have experienced through our course of our life journey and the course of our soul journey, to now coming back into the mystical union through the resurrection, where we are undifferentiated in God, where we know our oneness in spirit, yet we know it, retaining the awareness of our own individualized expression of that divinity. What are you here to do? Who are you here to be? When they came to the tomb and they did not find Jesus there, what is it in the experience of the resurrection that will ignite this awareness in our consciousness, that will raise us to the full knowing of our divinity? Let me come back to the story. For it says that Mary was there at the tomb. Divine love was there at the tomb. And she was looking around and she was sitting there weeping because she could not find her Jesus. And he stood and he appeared to her, although she did not recognize him at first. So how often does it happen to us where the Christ is right there in front of you? Not only in front of you in the form of another person, but within your very own being, and we are unable to recognize it in that moment. perhaps because we are crying over something that has been left behind. He says to her, Mary. He calls her by name. And in that moment, she wakes up and she recognizes him and she says, Rabbi, teacher. She experiences within her very own being the realized Christ, the resurrected, illumined Christ, as shown here behind me in this beautiful pane, the arisen Christ, the illuminated Christ, the translucent Christ that Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, wrote of when he said that Jesus so blazoned his essence into the primal energy that we have picked up on those electrons in our very own cellular being, that we can recognize and live this divinity that is within us. Today, it is about listening for your name, for the whisper of the beloved that is calling you home in consciousness. When you began this process, when you stepped onto this path of being an initiate, of being one who is devoting themselves in love and living as love, whatever you were conceiving at that time, can you in this moment hear the whisper of God, hear the whisper of the divine calling your name, raising you in consciousness, that you may see you, that you may see your soul journey differently. I've been sharing with you along each step of this path where I am in my own life circumstance of having the dissolve around what ministry looks like, having the dissolve around what my living arrangements are looking like. And as I'm opening into the awareness of receiving the goodness of all of what is around me, and letting go of any ideas of lack, letting go of any ideas of how it needs to show up, I've heard the beloved say my name. I've seen the offers that have come along for people willing to support the journey that I'm in, including yesterday where someone said, send me some of your footage and let me see if I can help you with the editing to help with the background noise. So for some of those of you who get distracted by it, know that there's something coming to help work with that. I held an idea in my mind that in order for Unity Global Heart and for me to step into this internet ministry and have it start expressing, I had this idea in mind that I had to have my website fully developed. And I realized as I've heard the beloved call my name, that I don't have to have the website up and running yet in order to step into this fold. I can do it through the medium of Facebook. I can do it by reaching out to you and saying, here I am. I'm here to share the message as I understand it, to teach as I understand Unity teachings, and for us to begin to build this spiritual community right here, right now, just as we are. See, this is what the resurrected Christ invites us to do, is to take the consciousness, knowing ourselves in this oneness, and then stand in our power right here, right now, and allow that transformed consciousness to guide, direct, to lead, to show the path that is yours to live. Easter Sunday, the resurrected Christ, is not something that Jesus came here to do for you. It is not something that he came to do because somehow or another you are less than. It is a way of being that he came to demonstrate and to allow us to know that each and every one of us within our very own being are worthy of walking the journey, walking the path of the initiate, and coming into the mystical union of knowing ourselves as divinely human. Eric Butterworth once said in Discover the Power Within You that we are divine to the extent that we allow the fullness of our humanity to blossom. Today, Easter Sunday, is your resurrection. This is where suffering ceases. This is the moment where you hear your name whispered by the divine into your heart, where the weeping ends and you stand in the garden. You stand fully aware of your wholeness. You stand fully aware of your oneness in the divine, ready to live, ready to act in the full humanity of your unique calling, of your unique role in our world today. For it is a path of action. It is a path of walking in the world with gift-bestowing hands and living as the Christed being that you are. Let today, Easter Sunday, be your step in that path of life abundant, of life full, of life glorious, of life illumined through your eyes, through the power of your word, through the touch of your hands as an expression of God. Happy Easter. God bless you. Namaste.